Hey guys, Mitch with Shock Therapy, and today we're going to show you how to install our brand new radius rods on the Polaris RZR Pro R and Polaris RZR Turbo R. These radius rods are cool because they do come with 7/8 rod ends along with 7/8 uniballs and a brand new CNC machine part on the hub side from us. Alongside the 7/8 hardware that is included in our radius rod kit, these are also made from 1.5" tubing. They are 120 wall. They're extremely strong and they're extremely durable. All right guys, first step of the installation, we're gonna jack the vehicle up until both rear tires are off of the ground. All right, so once you have both tires off the ground, we're actually gonna remove both the rear tires to give us access to our radius rod bolts. Once you get that side off, we'll go ahead and remove the other side. All right guys, so once you have both rear tires removed, we're actually gonna remove the radius rods now. This is done using a 21mm socket and a 21mm wrench. What we're gonna do is remove the upper first and then remove the lower on one side. We're gonna walk you guys through how to install it on this side, and then you'll basically repeat the steps on the following side. So a pro tip for you guys when removing the upper bolts, if you actually go to the opposite side of the vehicle of the bolt that you are removing, that gives you access with the wrench to remove the nut on the back side of the vehicle. With the upper one removed, we'll go ahead and remove the one at the arm. Once you have the nuts removed, you can remove the bolt holding the radius rod to the car and remove the factory radius rod. Once you guys do remove the factory hardware, make sure that this hardware goes in the factory location because this will be reused when we install the new radius rods onto the vehicle. Okay, with that done, we can remove the lower one. On the lower, you do have a little opening on the bottom here that you can stick the wrench into. Gives you pretty easy access to remove the lower. Once we get that one, we'll remove the one at the arm. Go ahead and remove the bolts. Again, make sure that you're saving the hardware for later in the installation. Go ahead and remove the factory radius rod, and then we'll get ready to install the new ones. Before you guys install the new radius rods onto the vehicle, there is something that we want to mention to you guys as a clearance purpose. On the lower mounting point for the lower radius rod, this inside part of the arm does have to get sanded out a little bit just for clearance at full droop of the new radius rods. So this part on the inside of the arm closest to the axle, the thicker part of the arm, we're gonna sand that out just a little bit to make sure that the new ones cycle and clear perfectly. As always, any grinding, drilling, or sanding, make sure that you are wearing safety glasses. All right guys, so once you get the arm sanded, we can install the lower radius rod just to check for clearance, make sure that we are good there. A couple things to note on the lower here. When we ship this to you guys, it is locked and set at 29 3/8. It is important to make sure that your measurements are set to that 29 3/8 on the lower radius rod. We'll go ahead and install this, make sure that our clearances are good on the arm. If they are, we'll fully install it and then we'll move to the upper radius rod. When we do go to install the lower radius rod, you'll notice in the kit there is 4 different style spacers that have sort of an O-ring groove on them. That O-ring goes onto the spacer, and then it is actually going to go into the 7/8 uniball side, which is going to be the hub side of the vehicle. Your other 12 spacers look identical. Those are all going to be for the frame side of the lower, the upper frame side, and the upper arm side. All right, with our O-rings installed onto our spacer, we'll install them into the radius rod. And then we're gonna install this onto the car, starting with the arm side first. Reuse the factory hardware. Install our other spacers at the frame side. Okay, once that's installed, we're gonna check down here, make sure that we do have a gap between our radius rod CNC end and the arm, which we do right now, so we are good to go there. If you do not have a gap in there, that means that you do have to sand that a little bit more. You just wanna make sure that you do clearance that out so none of these two pieces are touching each other. Now that we have our lower installed, our clearance is good, we're gonna go ahead and move to installing the upper radius rod. One thing to point out to you guys is if you measure the factory upper from center of hole to center of hole, this measurement is also 29 3/8. So a trick for you is if you set the shock therapy, the new one, to 29 3/8 as well, this is gonna get you close to your measurements. It's gonna require minor tweaking to get the alignment perfect. It's gonna be a lot better than just having this bottomed out and then having to adjust it on the car. It's gonna be a much better starting point for you. So we'll go ahead and set that to 29 3/8 from center of hole. And then one other thing to note is all four of your spacers for the upper are exactly the same. It does not matter where they go, frame side versus the arm side. When you guys are adjusting the new radius rod, make sure that you are adjusting it equally on both sides. So if you take this one and you spin it half of a turn, one turn, you wanna make sure that you're doing half of a turn, one turn on the other side. Do that equally until your measurement is achieved at 29 3/8. We're pretty close right there. We'll go ahead and run that. Install our spacers. We are gonna go the frame side first. Make sure that we are reusing the factory hardware. Once you get all the bolts installed, we can now reinstall all the nuts. We'll leave them finger loose at this time just until we get everything installed and get the rough alignment done. Now that we have this side complete, as far as the rough install, we'll go ahead and repeat those steps on the opposite side. We'll do our sanding, make sure the lower is clearanced. We'll get that installed and then we'll move on to the alignment. All right, so with both sides installed, we're gonna go ahead and tighten down all of the hardware, making sure that we torque all of the 8 bolts that we took out to 139 foot-pounds. Go ahead and do that now. All right guys, with everything tight, we're gonna go ahead and torque everything down now. Once we're done with that, we'll reinstall the tires and set the car back on the ground. All right guys, with everything tightened and torqued, we can now throw the tires back on. Throw this side on, then we'll throw the other one on. When you guys do reinstall the wheels and tires, make sure that you are torquing these to manufacturer spec. They do change from wheel to wheel. All right, once you get those on, we're gonna lower it down and then we'll torque the wheels. Once everything is torqued, we're gonna get into the vehicle. Start it up, we'll drive it back and forth to settle the suspension, just to get everything to fall out where it needs to, and then we'll check the alignment. All right, so now that we have everything settled, what we're gonna do is we're gonna come back here, make sure our steering wheel is straight. And what we're looking for is the rear of the tire to be basically in line, straight up and down with the front tire. You don't want it kicked out and you don't want it kicked in. That means you do have to adjust the camber on the upper radius rod. So as you can see, setting it at that 29 3/8 got us pretty close. We might have to make a couple minor adjustments to it to get it perfect, but for a good starting point, I'd say we're rocking. We'll check the other side. This one does look a little cambered out, so we'll bring that one in just a little bit, but pretty close for a starting point. So we'll show you how to adjust that. Once you guys get it close, we do recommend take it to a qualified alignment shop. They can nail it in perfect for you. Once we do that, we'll tighten down all the jam nuts. We'll be good to go. Go ahead and bring that one in just a little bit. We'll step back, check it. A little bit more. I'd say we're looking pretty close right there. Enough to bring it to a shop to have it dialed in 100% perfect. Check the other side. This one looks like it needs to come in just a hair too. All right, I like that. All right guys, so once our alignment is done, we're gonna add blue Loctite to all of the jam nuts. We're gonna tighten those down, making sure that they are nice and tight. We'll go ahead and add Loctite to this one. I'll go ahead and lock these down. When you do lock these down, you wanna get this side snug, and then we'll go to this side, get this side snug, kinda go back and forth. Sure that you get an even tighten on all of these here. Line it back up, move to the other side. All right, once those are locked down, make sure you install the best part. All right, with everything locked down, tightened, and torqued, badges are on, your installation is complete. What am I saying?
All right, you're gonna need that size thing, we're gonna start here.
You need this size thing to get that thing off and that thing off.
Okay.
Oh, there's another thing I wanted to say too. Please hold. What the fuck, dude? Hold on. Oh, jeez.
Oh, Jesus.
This one's gonna suck.
No, it's not. It's awesome. It's all about mindset.
alongside all the 7/8 hardware that come in our kit. It's really loud over there. Exactly. Takes a little while. Okay. I'm out of breath.